On our 10th anniversary, my fiancé was abroad on a business trip with his young assistant. I'd called him more than 10 times. No answer. Almost at the same moment, the assistant updated her social media. In the video, the man behind her was taking off his shirt, the firm lines of his chest muscles highlighted by the dim lighting. Her caption read, "Abroad with the big shot lawyer to broaden my horizons. He teaches me work during the day and teaches me life at night. Hehe." I didn't get angry or flustered. I simply liked the post and commented, "Good luck. Hope you manage to make a person soon." Chapter 1. The calls I hadn't been able to get through finally came back. After the shrill ring, Ethan's voice burst through, unable to hide his anger. "Victoria, what's with the passive-aggressive attitude? You made Lily cry. Was that necessary? She was just making a joke. It's not like you weren't young once. Why can't you take a joke?" A barrage of accusations, like rapid-fire shots. Not once did he ask why I, who hadn't reached out to him in ages, would suddenly call him over 10 times in an hour. I held the phone away a little and said evenly, "Let's break up." There was silence for a few seconds on the other end before his voice cooled. "All because of a joke in a video?" "Yes, Victoria. It's been less than 6 months and you've brought up breaking up 3 times. Aren't you afraid I might actually agree one day?" Ethan sighed helplessly. "I know you feel insecure. You're not that young anymore, and you're always worried some young girl will steal me away. But you need to understand, first, she has no such intentions. Second, do you really think I'm that irresponsible? All right. Tell me, what do you want me to do this time? When I get back, I'll propose publicly. We can get married during the spring festival. Will that satisfy you?" I hung up without a word. We'd been together for 10 years, from 19 to 29. We fell in love in the best years of our youth, weathered the hard days side by side. Now he was successful, a partner at a top law firm. Everyone said I was lucky to have picked a promising stock. Ethan was sure that every time I said I wanted to break up, it was just a tactic to push him toward commitment. Because of his repeated indulgence toward Lily's overstepping, I had already brought it up twice. The first time, he took 10 days off and went home with me to visit my parents. The second time, he bought me a Ferrari and a villa he said would be our marital home. This time, he thought I was angling for a proposal. What he didn't know was that every time, I had truly meant to leave. And this time, I wasn't coming back. Breaking up was just the final step. I had already arranged my new chapter in life, new job, new destination, waiting for me. I was only waiting for him to come back because, after 10 long years, even an ending deserved to land with weight. Chapter 2. Ethan came home looking worn out. He dropped his suitcase by the entryway, collapsed onto the sofa, his voice a little hoarse. "Victoria, the throat-soothing tea, did you make it? My throat's been killing me these 2 weeks abroad. I've been miserable." He had allergic pharyngitis. Over the years, I'd experimented endlessly until I came up with the perfect blend for him, better than any medicine. In the past, at this moment, I'd have fussed over him, served up the tea I'd already prepared, and watched him drink it. But now, my eyes didn't leave the laptop screen. I didn't move an inch. Ethan looked slightly surprised. He took a small jewelry box from his pocket, opened it, and held it out to me. 10th anniversary gift. See if you like it. When I didn't react, Ethan took out the ring. "Try it on, it's beautiful." It wasn't an engagement ring like I'd imagined, but a delicate, ornamental pinky ring. I gave it a quick glance and kept clicking my mouse. He lost patience, tossing the ring carelessly onto the table, still giving me the silent treatment over that day. "I took her abroad for work. I didn't forget our anniversary. I even bought you a gift. What more do you want?" I looked at him calmly. "Did you pick the gift yourself?" A flicker of guilt flashed in his eyes before his tone rose defensively. "Lily picked it. She said engagement rings should be custom-made ahead of time. And for a gift, a pinky ring is trendy. I don't understand women's things. The sales clerk recommended this. It's a high-end new season piece." "What? Is that wrong too?" I extended my right hand. "Is that so? Then put it on me." Ethan picked up the ring, but as soon as it touched my pinky, his expression froze. The slender, pale finger bent oddly at the joint. The ring stuck there like a cruel joke. He stood there stiffly, lips parting soundlessly. I pulled my hand back with a cold smile. He'd forgotten I couldn't wear pinky rings because of an old injury. Forgotten that I got it saving his life. During the car accident, I had shoved him out of harm's way, and my pinky was crushed. At the time, we were broke, behind on 6 months of rent, on the verge of being homeless. I used the 80,000 yuan compensation to pay a year's rent and bought him a proper outfit for interviews. It wasn't until he heard me crying in pain at night that he realized I'd only gotten a plaster cast at a small clinic instead of proper treatment. That night, in our cramped basement room, we cried in each other's arms. He swore he would love and cherish me for the rest of his life. Turns out, his forever didn't even last 10 years. Chapter 3. The code lock beeped. The door opened softly. Lily slipped in on tiptoe. Seeing me and Ethan, she froze. Oh, Victoria's home too. I didn't mean to intrude. She suddenly looked awkward, as if realizing her entrance made no sense. Ethan left his laptop in the car. I thought he just landed and was catching up on sleep. So I didn't knock, didn't want to wake him. Expressionless, I stared at her tear-brimmed eyes and said coldly, "You remember the code so clearly. This isn't the first time you've come like this, is it?" Her voice trembled, but her face still carried stubborn defiance. "Don't misunderstand, Victoria. I haven't been here that often, just when I needed to bring Ethan materials. He gave me the code. I know you don't like me, but there's nothing improper between us. I'm his assistant. It's my job to run errands for him." I couldn't help a laugh. Cold, sharp. Oh, menstrual cramps. And the boss personally delivers ginger tea at midnight. Cockroach at home. And the boss shows up to play hero. No matter the time. You always just happen to show up where we're having a date. You call that just doing your job? And you talk about being clean? Filming your boss half naked at night, then barging into his home right after he gets back? Sure. Very clean. Her big almond eyes filled with tears as if she'd suffered the greatest injustice. She stubbornly looked at Ethan. When he stayed silent, she finally turned away, crying, "Victoria, that's enough." Ethan walked over, gently patting Lily's back, frowning at me. "Do you have to be so harsh?" She was just being nice, bringing me my laptop. I'll tell her to be more careful next time. Then, looking down at Lily, he softly chided, "And you, so careless." Apologized to Victoria. "I didn't do anything wrong." Lily sniffled. "I just felt bad for you. You've been so exhausted these past 2 weeks. I just didn't want to wake you." I'd had enough. I took out my phone. "You entered a residence without the owner's permission, and you think you're not wrong? Since your lawyer boss didn't teach you the law, I'll let the police do it." "That's enough." Ethan strode over and snatched my phone. "Don't go too far, Victoria. You're acting like some shrew who won't let go. And for the record, you're the one in the wrong here. This house is in my name. If I let her in, she can come in." The room went dead silent. Lily straightened her back and shot me a smug look. I stared at Ethan without blinking. We'd gone to the same school, same major. He'd started pursuing me because he couldn't beat me in a debate competition. And now, in his eyes, I was an ignorant shrew. For a moment, his face, one I'd known for 10 years, seemed strange and blurry. Meeting my gaze, Ethan looked briefly flustered, then calm again. "Victoria, I just mean, let's not make a big deal of it." I picked up my bag, smiling faintly. "You're right. This is your house. The one who should leave is me." Lily stepped in front of me. "Victoria, please don't be like this." "Fine, I'll apologize. Don't storm off, or he'll have to chase you. He's really tired. I'll leave right now. Please don't be mad. Let him rest, okay?" She clamped her nails into my arm. I yanked free and slapped her, the sharp crack echoing. She stumbled back and fell. "Victoria." Ethan started after me, but Lily's pained cry made him stop. I slammed the door behind me without looking back. Chapter 4. In the garage. Ethan's Cullinan was parked right next to my Ferrari. The passenger seat of the Cullinan was covered in pink decorations, complete with a strawberry-shaped sign that read, "Reserved for the cute little assistant." When he bought that car, Ethan had just made it into a top-tier law firm. That day, he was riding high, insisted on registering the car under my name, and excitedly took me on a drive out of the city. My back wasn't in great shape. so I wanted to put a lumbar cushion in the passenger seat. When he saw the pink cushion, he smiled helplessly. Victoria, if you put something like this in my car, people will question my professionalism. When did his so-called professionalism become perfectly compatible with a car full of pink trinkets? Principles are meant to be broken. An old flame can never compete with a new one. I turned away and got into my Ferrari. It wasn't until I pulled onto the street that I realized this massive city of Beijing had nowhere for me to go. My hometown was over 1,000 kilometers away, in a mountain city. All these years, I had devoted myself entirely to the law firm. Other than Ethan and my colleagues, I didn't even have a single friend I could confide in. Back then, I refused to return home and insisted on staying in Beijing to help Ethan build his career, breaking my parents' hearts. 3 years ago, I got pregnant unexpectedly. At that time, the firm was at a critical stage, and we simply couldn't afford to marry and have a child. So I had no choice but to terminate the pregnancy. My mother traveled thousands of kilometers to take care of me during my recovery. And when she saw my worn, pale face, she cried, "Victoria, you'll regret this someday." After the miscarriage, my health took a serious hit. I no longer had the stamina for the law firm's grueling pace, so I had to step down and recuperate at home. After leaving the firm, I cut off even the little contact I had with my former colleagues. I drove out of the city, parked on a deserted roadside, and just stared into space. Should I regret it? Regret holding on so tightly to the hand I took at 19, walking through blood and bruises without ever letting go? Instinctively, I touched my misshapen, disabled pinky finger, but no answer came to mind. A message from Ethan popped up on my phone. "I've sent Lily away. Change the door code, this won't happen again. I would never cheat on you. And she's not that kind of person. You really don't need to overreact." She cried for a long time, said she felt guilty. A transfer notification came through, 520,000 yuan. "You've been in a bad mood lately. Go take a trip. Clear your head. Once I'm done with this busy period, we'll set the wedding date. That should put your mind at ease, right?" Ethan's arrogant tone practically leapt off the screen. Since when had marrying me become a favor he was granting me? I couldn't help but laugh bitterly, remembering a recent gathering. I'd just returned from the restroom when I overheard a friend asking him, "Big shot lawyer, I heard you bought a lakeside villa as your marital home. Lucky you, successful career and the girl of your dreams." Someone teased. Honestly, with Victoria's current status, marrying a young celebrity wouldn't be unusual. She's just lucky you've been loyal and stuck with her. Ethan's voice was low, almost solemn. "It's been 10 years. Victoria's been through so much with me. If I didn't marry her, I'd be a sinner." 10 years, and marrying me had become his duty. I was no longer his passion, just a heavy burden. I stayed silent, neither accepting the money nor replying to Ethan. Then another message came in, from a different number. "Hey, Junior, you said the other day you'd come to Australia to help me. You weren't just bluffing, were you?" Ethan was just asking about wedding planners in our class group chat. "You're really okay with a long-distance marriage?" I smiled faintly and replied, "I broke up with him, and as for going back on my word, when have I ever? My visa's ready. Let's make this big." Chapter 5. The next few days, I was busy preparing to go abroad. During that time, Ethan only sent me one message: "Come back once you've cooled off." Lily, on the other hand, was buzzing online as if she lived on social media. Several posts a day, each one featuring Ethan. "Big shot lawyer treated me to Michelin, never mind. We've made up. Rainy day." And he sweetly walked me downstairs. I wish I could bring him home, but sadly, my place doesn't have a cat that can do backflips. His eyes tell me, if he let go of everything and followed his heart, the only one he'd choose would be me. She was trying to provoke me, but she didn't know I didn't care anymore. The day before I was set to leave Beijing, Lily called. Her voice was cold and defiant. "Ethan's been in a car accident. He's asking for you. I'll send you the address. Whether you come or not, it's up to you." After thinking for a moment, I still went. When I pushed open the hospital room door, I caught Lily coming out of the bathroom, shaking water off her hands. A malicious smile spread across her face, her gaze flicking toward the floor. Following her eyes, I noticed a few crumpled tissues scattered on the ground and the heavy scent of hawthorn flowers lingering in the air. Lily flexed her wrist and suddenly let out a coy, "Ouch." From behind the curtain came Ethan's familiar, hoarse post-event voice. "What's wrong, Lily?" "Nothing," she replied sweetly, meeting my gaze. She smiled bright and triumphant. "All your fault for taking so long, my hand's so sore now." She stood there, tilting her head slightly in open provocation. I curved my lips in a faint smile and turned to leave. Even one more second there felt filthy. Some people aren't worth parting with on good terms. Chapter 6. Before going abroad, I returned to my hometown in the mountains. A few days earlier, I'd told my mother over the phone about my plan to work in Australia. For some reason, when it came to telling her about my breakup with Ethan, the words reached my lips several times, but I couldn't say them. She took the bags from my hands and nodded toward my father, who was watering plants on the balcony. "You blocked Ethan? He couldn't reach you and ended up calling your dad yesterday." My stomach dropped. How was I going to explain this? I shuffled out to the balcony. My father put down the watering can, his face stern. "You and Ethan broke up?" Just because of that female assistant? Ethan said she's just a normal colleague of the opposite sex." A wave of grievance surged in my chest. My throat tightened. I couldn't bring myself to tell him about the hospital. For once, the usually steady man looked unsettled. "Why are you crying? If you broke up, you broke up, no big deal." My mother came over and patted my back. "Your dad and I talked about it yesterday. There's no way it's like Ethan said. Our daughter's not the kind of unreasonable person to make trouble for nothing. I'm sure he and that assistant aren't as innocent as he claims." The tears I'd been holding back for days suddenly burst out. I couldn't stop crying. It took me a long while to calm down. My mother held me close, distressed. "You wouldn't stay and work here back then. You insisted on going to Beijing with him. 10 years. And this is what you end up with. It's not worth it." My father cleared his throat. "Worth it or not doesn't matter. When it's time to accept a loss, you accept it. If you gave your heart to the wrong person, so be it. There's no point in endless regret or blame." I just want to ask you one thing. Are you going to Australia out of spite? Or is it a serious decision? I wiped my tears and nodded firmly. "It's serious. An older schoolmate who's established himself at a law firm there wants to expand into the domestic market. He needs a partner." My mother looked at me with reluctance. "So you're really going that far away?" My father stood up and headed for the door. "Stop talking nonsense. Since when has she ever listened to anyone?" My mother called after him. "Old man, where are you going? Dinner's almost ready." Without turning back, he said, "Going downstairs to buy drinks. Don't you know your daughter needs sour plum juice with hot pot?" I hugged my mother tightly. "Mom, even in Australia, I'll mainly be handling domestic business. I'll spend at least half my time here. And besides, Dad's rheumatism isn't suited for the damp climate here in the mountains. You two could come spend half the year in Australia." My mother laughed and patted me. "We don't speak English. Won't we embarrass you there?" From outside came my father's cold snort. "That's you. My English is great." I laughed through my tears. Yes, I'd given 10 years to the wrong person, but I, Victoria, can win or lose with dignity. Chapter 7. I changed to a new phone number. A few old classmates reached out to me on QQ. "Victoria, did you have a fight with Ethan? He's going crazy looking for you everywhere. You two were so good together. If you break up, I'll stop believing in love. Ethan told me it's just an assistant who doesn't know boundaries. It's not a serious mistake. You're about to get married. Don't act rashly and let someone else take advantage." I looked at my phone for a while but saw no need to explain. There's no such thing as true empathy. Forget others, even the me who once threw herself into love without hesitation could never have imagined there would come a day when I wouldn't even want to look at that man. After several people came asking the same thing, I changed my QQ status to single, unless you're introducing me to a boyfriend or business opportunities. Please don't bring up anything else. Finally, peace. When I arrived in Australia, my old classmate Lucas came to pick me up at the airport. "Victoria, the people of Australia welcome you." After so many years, Lucas was still as I remembered him, only with a more mature and composed air. When he smiled, his eyes curved just like before, still that warm, cheerful senior who always laughed easily. In college, we were on the same debate team. I charged forward. He had my back. We were unstoppable. Everyone thought we'd end up together, and they were shocked when I chose the poor but ambitious Ethan instead. One senior even advised me, saying that while Ethan was outstanding, Lucas was warm, kind, and of solid character. Back then, I brushed it off. But Ethan treats me well. I never imagined that one day, his treating me well would simply shift to another woman. The tenderness Ethan now gave Lily thought it was hers alone, but it was just a copy of what he had once given me. When you're in love, you choose with your heart. When the love is gone, you realize how much character matters. Unfortunately, I didn't understand that then. Chapter 8. I couldn't wait to start working, but Lucas insisted on showing me around Australia first. You've come all this way, what? You think I'm afraid you'll run off? Relax for a few days first. There'll be plenty of time for work later. Lucas was the perfect guide. Even after all these years, there was no awkwardness between us. It felt like our days of fighting side by side were just yesterday. From the winter back home to the blazing summer in Australia, sunshine, beaches, handsome men, and beautiful women, I played to my heart's content. Before Ethan, I had been cheerful and lively, a little ray of sunshine. But because of his possessiveness and insecurity, I had gradually distanced myself from friends. Now, the nature I had suppressed for years was finally set free without hesitation. Breaking up was wonderful. I should have done it long ago. Lucas took a photo with me and asked, "Can I post this?" Go ahead. Why not? I wasn't the one who had anything to hide. The night after Lucas posted the photo, Ethan appeared before me. He leaned on a crutch, looking haggard, his hair tousled by the night wind, nothing like the suave man he usually was. Suppressing my look of disgust, I turned to thank Lucas for driving me home. He glanced at Ethan in the distance and said gently, "Do you want me to wait in the car until you're upstairs?" I smiled. "No need. I can handle it." After Lucas left, I walked toward my building as if I hadn't seen Ethan. He grabbed my wrist, his face dark. "Victoria, you've been in contact with him all along? Did you already plan to break up?" I almost laughed. "Ethan, I'm not you. Don't dump your own behavior on me." He was silent for a few seconds, then cleared his throat. "If you mind Lily, I can fire her. I swear, I never touched her." I cut him off. "Helping you with her hand doesn't count as touching, right?" Ethan's body jolted, his eyes darting. "Don't listen to Lily's nonsense." I didn't. I smiled. "I don't need to listen to anyone. I saw it with my own eyes. When she was whining about her hand being sore, I was standing right outside the curtain. Anything else you want to say?" "I'm going to rest." Suddenly, Ethan threw away his crutch and grabbed me in a tight embrace. "Don't go." I know I was wrong. I didn't touch her. That doesn't count as being with her. He rambled on, holding me tighter, his breath hot against my neck. A wave of nausea rose in me. I shoved him away, nearly vomiting. He staggered to stand, pale and stunned. Don't despise me, Victoria. I'm not dirty." I held back the urge to retch. "But I do despise you." Ethan stared at me in disbelief. I added, "Have some dignity. Stop pestering your ex." His eyes reddened, his lips trembling before he finally spoke. "You went through so much hardship with me. I never thought of leaving you. I admit Lily tempted me, but in the end, we didn't actually sleep together. For just this, you're throwing away 10 years? Lily is as educated and beautiful as you, and younger too. Aren't you afraid I'll actually be with her?" I almost laughed through my tears. I'd expected him to make excuses, but I hadn't imagined he could say something this absurd. I didn't know enough about how shameless a scumbag could be. "Ethan, I truly wish you two eternal happiness and many children. Consider it my begging." Clearly, I wasn't lucky enough. Only Lily deserves such a good man like you. Satisfied? "I've been out all day. I'm tired. Goodbye, and don't let me see you again." I turned to leave. Behind me came Ethan's voice, low and bitter through clenched teeth. "Victoria, you'll regret this." Chapter 9. A month later, my former classmates organized a reunion. Lucas asked me, "Are you going?" Closing my laptop and stretching my sore back, I replied, "Of course. The firm was looking to expand into the domestic market. I'd worked there for 5 years before. So naturally, I had to slowly rebuild my client network. More friends meant more opportunities. Class reunions were a perfect way to network and exchange information. As soon as Lucas and I walked into the banquet hall, we ran straight into Ethan and Lily. Lily was dressed in an exquisite pink cashmere dress, a dazzling diamond necklace sparkling at her throat. She clung tightly to Ethan's arm, the two of them practically glued together like conjoined twins. Ethan's leg injury seemed fully healed. He was groomed to perfection, looking dashing and attentive, overflowing with affection for Lily. Everyone knew about our 10 years together, and not long ago, Ethan had even bragged in the group chat that we were about to get married. Now, seeing this scene, several faces were filled with shock. One blunt classmate came right out with it. "Victoria, are you and Lucas together now?" I answered cheerfully, "No, I'm single. Lucas is my business partner." Lily curled her lips and said with mock sweetness, "Partner? Or your new flame without a cooling off period? Victoria, do you have any idea how much Ethan has suffered from your cliff edge breakup?" I frowned, already impatient. But before I could answer, Lucas spoke. "So you're the assistant who spends the day learning work from Ethan and the night learning how to be a woman from him?" Smiling lazily, he added, "From what I see, you're not very good at the latter. Maybe you should take more night classes." Lily's face flushed red, then turned pale, biting her lip. She leaned against Ethan's shoulder, eyes shimmering with tears. "Ethan, I have a straightforward personality. Sorry for embarrassing you, but I just can't stand the way Victoria treats you. You've done nothing wrong to her, and you were even preparing a proposal, while she was already climbing to higher branches behind your back." Ethan's face darkened to iron, his eyes cold as they turned toward me. "Sometimes, when you're so speechless, all you can do is laugh." And I wasn't the only one. Several female classmates chuckled at Lily's cheap, pretentious coquette routine. They couldn't help speaking up for me. "Ethan, what's your little green tea side chick acting for? Who here doesn't know Victoria's character? If she wanted to climb the social ladder, would she have chosen you, a poor student, over Lucas back in the day?" "Exactly. She's openly said she's single, which means she broke up with you. And let's be honest, Victoria and Lucas aren't all over each other like you two. Look at her, she's practically shoving her chest into your armpit. If you really cared, you'd have married Victoria long ago. Quit pretending to be the devoted one." At the last reunion, I almost called you out, saying you'd be a sinner if you didn't marry Victoria. You've got some nerve. Thinking our law school beauty was lucky to have you. Not a single old friend spoke up for Ethan. I wasn't surprised. Back in school, my excellence was obvious to all. During my entrepreneurial years, my hard work and success were equally visible. Even though I'd been away from the firm for 2 or 3 years, no one ever truly saw me as some idle housewife. Ethan's face looked like he'd swallowed nails. His jaw clenched, silent. Lily fidgeted, tugging at her skirt, her body trembling. "They're just jealous because I'm younger." She shot me a hateful look. "Other than family background, what do you have that I don't?" "Everything," I answered calmly. Tears spilled down Lily's cheeks as she tried to speak again. But Ethan suddenly barked. "Enough!" A bold female classmate shot back without flinching. "What are you yelling for? This was supposed to be a nice reunion, and you and your little home-wrecking green tea turned it into a mess. Get lost, both of you, and stop ruining the mood." Ethan shot to his feet, chest heaving, his gaze drilling into me like he wanted to bore holes in my skin. I met his stare without flinching. After a moment, he clenched his jaw and dragged Lily away. "Let's go." Chapter 10. After returning to China, Lucas and I dove headfirst into work. I wasn't stupid. The night after the 10-year anniversary incident, I didn't sleep at all. I copied all of Ethan's work files from his computer. Luckily for me, he was lazy. All these years, he'd never changed his password. I didn't tell Lucas about this. I simply built my legal agency proposals entirely on top of Ethan's. Where he did well, I did better. Where he missed something, I patched it up point by point. I had poured my heart and soul into building his business for years. Without me, his law firm wouldn't exist. This was what I deserved. In less than 6 months, I had secured 8 or 9 out of every 10 new clients Ethan had been targeting. Thanks to my efforts. Many of his old clients were also preparing to switch to me when their contracts expired. Back when everything was going smoothly for him, he had signed a performance betting agreement with his partners. Now, that agreement was on the verge of collapse. I heard he was running around frantically, trying to pull in business through personal connections. As for Lily, she stuck to him, posting on her social media, through thick and thin, "I'm willing to help you make your comeback." I almost burst out laughing. Could you at least fix the typo first? With your skill level, sweetheart, making a comeback might be a bit difficult. Chapter 11. One early summer night, I had just returned home from working late. From a bench near the greenery, a figure suddenly stood up. Ethan was staring at me from a distance. He'd lost a lot of weight. His face was ashen, lips cracked, his voice hoarse. "Victoria, do you really hate me that much? Do you have to push me to the brink?" Looking at the unwillingness in his eyes, I replied calmly, "I don't hate you. It's just fair competition. Have you forgotten I'm a lawyer too?" Ethan was silent for a moment before speaking softly. "If all you want is to drag me back to square one, I don't mind, as long as you come back. I'm willing to give up everything." I smiled. "But I'm not willing to give up everything. I just don't want you." Meeting his gaze, I enunciated each word. "Are you really giving up everything? Or have you already lost it all? If you were thriving right now, would you be standing here asking me to take you back? No, you'd be holding your new sweetheart, feeling smug about your generosity, thinking I was the ungrateful one, the stubborn one." Ethan, even if you're a smart man, don't treat everyone else like they're fools. The last glimmer of hope in his eyes shattered bit by bit. I turned to leave. "Victoria!" Ethan called after me urgently. "But I still love you." His face was pained, eyes full of false sincerity. "I've never loved anyone else. I was never with Lily. That day I was just trying to make you angry. I swear, I've never betrayed you. Not in body or in heart." I sighed, rubbing my forehead. "Here we go again. God, why don't you send a few more lightning bolts to strike these cheating men who swear at the drop of a hat?" I chuckled. "Proof?" Ethan steadied himself. "The innocent don't need to provide evidence." Oh, so now he wanted to play professional games with me? I pulled a USB drive from my bag. Innocent until proven guilty, right? Fine, burden of proof is on whoever makes the claim. You remember the Cullinan's dashcam software is linked to my phone, don't you? The car's registered in my name. The footage is legally admissible. Surely you know that? Do I need to remind you what you and Lily did in that car? It was the very night you came to Australia to find me. And then, on your first night back in China, you two slept together in it. You and Lily really are a match. You both picked the wrong profession. If you'd studied acting instead, you'd probably both have Best Actor and Best Actress awards by now. Chapter 12. Ethan's face was a picture of pure embarrassment. Even now, he still wouldn't give up, still struggling to explain. "That day, I saw you with Lucas, and you were so heartless toward me. I lost my head in anger. Then Lily, she made the first move and seduced me. I cut him off. So, the 1.60 m Lily pinned down the 1.80 m you in the car and had her way with you?" His words stopped dead. After a moment of silence, he slowly knelt before me, speaking in a choked voice. "I know I was wrong. I admit it. Can't you forgive me just once?" I gave a cold, faint smile. He kept his head lowered, shoulders trembling, hiding his expression. Overhead, the crabapple tree swayed in the evening breeze, sending a few petals drifting down onto his hair. A long-forgotten memory suddenly surfaced in my mind. Our first date. Under the crabapple trees by the campus lake, he had gently plucked a blossom from my hair, his eyes sparkling as they met mine, then shyly turned away. A chill spread through my heart. I sighed and softened my tone. "Ethan, if you want our 10 years together to have at least one beautiful memory left, then let's part peacefully. After all this, have you never once wondered why, on our 10th anniversary, I suddenly called you over a dozen times?" Ethan looked up, startled. I placed a hand on my lower abdomen. "That day, I wanted to tell you some good news, but you never picked up." The blood drained from his face. His eyes locked on my belly, his voice urgent. You were pregnant? Victoria. Let's get married right now. Let me make it up to you, and to the baby, okay? I bent down to look him straight in the eye. After seeing your filthy little scene with Lily at the hospital that day, I went straight in and had an abortion. His eyes reddened instantly, his whole body trembling. How could you be so cruel? To throw away our child. My voice wavered. Years ago, I lost a baby and it already damaged my health. After this surgery, the doctor said I might never be able to have children again. We've been together 10 years, and it's you who wronged me. To this day, I've never spoken ill of you to anyone. So please, do me a kindness, think of it as a small mercy for the child who never got to be born, and let me go. It was you who gave up on that child first. If you had picked up my call that day, maybe things wouldn't have turned out like this. By the end, my voice was breaking. Ethan collapsed to the ground, letting out a pained, guttural cry. Chapter 13. I turned away, wiped my tears, and walked off in long strides. Damn it, turns out I'm the one who should have gone into acting, and I just crashed my way into the improv category. 2. That day, the reason I called Ethan over a dozen times was because I'd seen news of an indiscriminate attack in the very city he was traveling to. When he didn't pick up, I was frantic, like a cat on a hot roof. For an hour, I couldn't sit still, wishing I could sprout wings and fly to his side, until I saw Lily's post. In an instant, my heart went cold. From that minute on, there was no turning back for us. Do scumbags have a conscience? Maybe a tiny bit, so let it keep him up at night. His career is already in ruins. There's nothing left for me to destroy. Maybe, for the rest of his long life, he'll keep regretting. If he'd answered my call that day, he might still be a successful man now, thriving career, happy family, respected and envied. Would he reflect on himself? No, he'd just blame it all on Lily. It was her fault for being spoiled, for pouting and keeping him from answering my call, her fault for barging into our home uninvited, her fault for being shameless, seducing him whether it was at the hospital or in the car. If Ethan had married Lily as a successful man, maybe their life wouldn't have been too bad, but as a ruined man, I'm sure they'll make each other miserable. I wasn't pregnant. I didn't have an abortion. And as for never being able to have children again, pure improv. Does conning a scumbag require a conscience? Nope. I took a shower, opened my laptop, and got ready to keep stealing Ethan's clients tomorrow. Chapter 14. In less than a year, Ethan went bankrupt, unable to pay the sky-high penalty from the performance agreement. All his assets were seized, and he was put on the defaulters list. I heard he married Lily. Their wedding was held in some tiny, unimpressive venue. Just a few tables. A few old classmates went. They all came back saying the bride and groom looked utterly reluctant, as if neither knew why they were even getting married. Afterward, Ethan and Lily left Beijing, vanishing from sight. The next time I heard about them was on a legal news program. Drunk, Ethan had gotten into an argument and, in the heat of the moment, pushed 8 months pregnant Lily down the stairs. The baby didn't survive. Lily suffered a severe spinal injury and was paralyzed for life. Ethan was sentenced to 10 years in prison. I turned off the TV, feeling nothing. None of it had anything to do with me anymore. My life only had beautiful tomorrows ahead.